Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is the first time I've done anything like this, so bear with me if my nerves get the better of me, or bear with me if the tech gets the better of me. So anyone who knows me knows that sometimes the tech side of things is not always my strong suit, but I will do my very best. I look forward to trying to help you as best as I can tonight with any questions that you may have about the way that I put our 3-month family menu planner together. And until I do get any questions, I'll start to have a little bit of a chat about why it is that I plan this way and how I came about doing that. So I was an all right cook in the kitchen, definitely before I had kids. I, had enough skills to get by, but certainly didn't experiment too much in the kitchen. Had the stock standard basics that I was really used to cooking and found really easy. And so once our firstborn came along in 2009, I really challenged myself to use that family leave to start experimenting a little bit more in the kitchen and to start getting just some more recipes under my belt. So I actually took out a 12-month subscription to a seasonal recipe magazine and challenged myself, that came out every month, and challenged myself to cook something from that every month, or, cook a couple of the recipes from it every month. And that was really great because that just gave me some extra skills to have and really helped to expand our palettes a lot as well. And then, life goes on. Daughter number 2 came along at the end of 2010, was home for a little bit longer, and then I returned to work. So things just got quite busy, and it's, becomes quite easy to fall back onto some old habits, which I did. And, would find myself driving home from work, still got to pick kids up from daycare and pick kids up from school and whatever the case was. And also trying to think about, well, what meat have I got in the freezer? What veggies have I got? What sort of a meal can I put together? And things were becoming really quite slapdash, and I don't like wasting food either, but we'd get to the end of every week and there'd be veggies that hadn't been used, and I couldn't, quite create something to use them for, so I wasn't using them and they were being chucked out, and I really don't like that at all. So started to, get myself back to doing those magazines, or using those magazines, and really planning out what we were doing with those recipes. So got into some planning with that. If you do join me as this video goes along, please do say hello. Please don't just lurk in the background. As I explained, you'll have to bear with my nerves a little bit, and I hope that I don't let them get the better of me, and I certainly hope that I don't let the tech get the better of me as well. I've just recapped a little bit about why it is that I plan this way and how this method came to be and how it really helps me. And so I was just explaining that I'm up to the point of getting back into some regular weekly menu planning using the monthly seasonal magazines that I do have. But of course, that process of planning a shopping list and a menu every week can take some time as well. And, was finding that was taking me about an hour every week, and it wasn't necessarily an hour that I had. So then I took that idea and expanded it into 2 weeks and tried planning 2 weeks at a time. And then I sort of realized that I could plan for 4 weeks at a time. So that's what I do now. So some of the things that really help me plan for those 4 weeks at a time is to be really super aware of what my weeks look like and what a typical week looks like. Hello to the 2 people who have just joined me. If you would like to say hello in the comments, that would be fantastic. I'm here to answer your questions, so if you do have any, please feel free to type them in the comments. It would be wonderful to be able to help you out, but otherwise I'm just going to continue talking about what I do. So really thinking about what your typical week looks like is where I'm up to with explaining things, and just being aware of what activities do you have with the kids after school. What are your work hours like? What are your own personal workout commitments, your own personal sport commitments? If you've got another adult living in the house with you, your partner, you know, what are their commitments like? And really just thinking those things through, so that when you do go to sit down and plan your menu, you can actually take all of that time into consideration. Don't forget, there's some really good things that you can do, like batch cooking things on a weekend. You can put things in a slow cooker in the morning and leave them going all day. So there are lots of different things that you can do there. One of the other things that really helps me with our 4-week menu planning is to have quite a structured week. So I know what sort of a meal I'm looking for on each night of the week. And for us, that's really simple. Monday is meat-free Monday. Tuesdays is always going to be a lamb kind of a meal. Wednesdays, we're always going to have either chicken or pork, so I try to keep that as a white meat night. Thursdays is beef, Fridays is fish. Now, if you choose not to eat meat, that's cool. You work it out and you work out ways to make your week work. I was thinking before I came on that I wanted to say, if you're not a structured person, this method may not work too well for you. But if you're not a structured person and you want to be a structured person, then this method is a really great little stepping stone into some of that structure into your week. Hello, if you've just joined me, I'd love for you to say hello. It will help out with my nerves if you do say hello. And if you have got any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments. I hope that the tech isn't going to let me down, and I certainly hope that I do see your comments. Or even if you could just like the video, that might help me to see those lights pop up and I can see that the tech is working. So I was just explaining what our typical week looks like for the structure of the meals. And so Saturday night and Sunday night are slightly different, and I'll explain why. Saturday nights, we leave that as a family choice. And the reason for that is we don't know if we're going to be invited out somewhere. We don't know if we're going to have people over at our house, so I leave that quite open and quite free, and that's just a really quick matter of popping into the supermarket on the Saturday. Now, the tech may have just caught up because I've just seen a whole stack of comments pop up and some likes pop up, so thank you very much. But now you'll need to just give me a sec to read through those and see which ones that I can address, and hopefully I can pick them from the top down. So thank you so much. I can see that some of you have joined, so thank you. So Rosie has asked, do I ever feel like, or ever not feel like what's been planned 3 months ahead? Look, honestly, no. But I guess if that was a concern of yours, and I have had that question asked to me in the past, is that you can just switch it for one of the other nights within the week because you've got all those ingredients in the fridge with you. And I guess really at a push, you might have some things in the freezer that you can reheat that night, but typically not. We are typically really okay with the meals that we have on those nights. So I hope that helps you out there, Rosie. So Rosie's popped another comment in. Weekly. It takes so much time out of my week to get organised. I'd love to try your method, but scared I'd be disinterested in my ideas when the time rolls around. A totally legitimate question, Rosie, my friend. But also you're the one who's picked those recipes as well. So give them a go. Sometimes I cook a recipe and all 4 of us go, nope, that one's not happening again. So that's just a matter of flicking that one out of the menu and off the shopping list and flicking it over to something else. Yeah, we've done that. We've definitely sort of got meals that we went, not again. And so we just do switch them out. But I guess the whole thing also is still stemmed back from when I was explaining at the start that I really wanted to challenge myself to start cooking some different things and trying some different things. And I guess with the kids too, it's really important for them to see you trying new tastes and new foods. And it's all right to have a disinterest in some foods. And I guess that normalizes it a little bit for the kids, but at least you've tried it. So I hope that addresses that question for you, Rosie, and feel free to ask any more. So I was just explaining, I'll go back to where I was and just explaining the weekend structure and how that looks a little different in this family. Now the Sunday night one is a really interesting one, and I think I'm going to split the parents on this one. You're either going to love this idea or you're going to hate it. So our girls, actually we've got 2 daughters, and our girls take it in turns each week to pick a meal for the Sunday night. Now it means that we end up eating some really interesting things on Sunday nights, and it does mean pizza, and it does mean dim sims, and it does mean noodle box, and it does mean all sorts of different things. And then sometimes they throw a curveball in and they want a roast chicken and vegetables. My thinking there is that if they see that they've got some autonomy over our menu, if they see that they've got some say in it, that it helps us encourage some better eating throughout the week. It doesn't always work. I promise you it does not always work. But also too, that when they become adults and when they do move out of home, that they know that the fun food is just part of an everyday diet, really, and that they're not going to go too crazy and want to eat all the food that was restricted to them as kids, because really we're making a big effort not to restrict any food to our kids. So while I haven't got any further questions that I can see coming through, so please, I hope that I'm seeing all the questions as they come through, and I promise you it could just be the tech not playing nicely for me. But to recap some of the things that I've chatted about is to really know the structure of your week. Now, we're parents, the weeks change, but if you've got some sort of an idea of where you're going to be on certain nights of the week, that can really help to plan meals, because you know how much time you've got available to you to cook or to reheat or to eat. Oh dear, I just got a funny tech message. I hope that means that everything's still okay. And so I was saying you need a structure of a typical week. And then the other thing that really helps to structure the week for me with the planning is to set meal types for certain nights, so that when you're finding those recipes, that you already have an idea that you're looking for a lamb recipe, or you're looking for a meat-free recipe, or whatever the case may be. Guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate the questions, and I really appreciate the responses to the video. If you're watching this as a playback, please feel free to write any more questions down, and I'll answer those for you just as comments. I'm here to answer those questions. I'm here to help you out with that. So if something that you've heard as you're watching this replay really piques your interest, just write a comment below. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining me and putting up with my very first ever Facebook Live. Thank you so much.